Good morning, everyone. It is February 1st, and this is going to be kind of a quick video, but I wanted to talk about this really powerful winter storm that's going to be impacting a lot of the US for a couple of days. This is going to be a longer lasting event, and that means the impacts are going to be bigger. So let's go ahead and get right into it and talk about who is under warnings right now. So let's get a closer look. In the pink there, that's winter storm warnings. And the sort of nice grayish blue here, those are winter storm watches. And just look at how far they stretch. You got this in the Rockies there, winter storm warnings. They're getting a lot of snow, but also into central Texas, Panhandle, all the way all through Oklahoma, into areas Arkansas, Missouri. This stretches all the way up into the Northeast, into Vermont. So this system is going to be impacting a lot of people. So let's get into the models and talk about what's happening. So this really gets going tonight, and we want to make sure that you are weather aware. If you are, in the pink here especially, but also a little further south where you've got these winter storm watches, things are going to be getting really messy for you folks as well. And we're going to be looking at a range of winter weather with this. It's not just snow with this one. It's ice, it's sleet, and ice storms. Easily the most destructive type of winter weather because ice is heavy and it can cause really widespread power outages if it's thick enough. Anything more than a quarter inch of an ice, you're really not looking too good. Things are not going to be, in good shape for a few days. It can cause, widespread travel issues, but also widespread power outages that can last for a long time. Anything over a quarter of an inch of ice will start to really weigh down power lines and cause them to snap. And the same thing happens with trees. So you see trees falling and limbs falling on power lines. And that's why you have widespread power outages. And when it's really cold, it is just such a bad situation. And we want to make sure that you are prepared for what's going to happen. So let's go ahead and get right into it. This is the NAM. And this model yesterday, I think, was a little too far north and west. I think it's kind of come into sort of a more realistic solution. And it looks a little bit more like Euro and GFS. I think they're all kind of coming into agreement with this system. And I want to point out too, that snow line, that ice line, it could be a few miles of a difference, and that will really impact what you're going to be seeing. So you got snow there in the Rockies. They're going to be picking up at least a few inches, possibly up to a foot in those higher elevations. And then you see rain breaking out. So this is in Central Time, which is where I'm at and where a lot of this action is going to be happening too. I'm here in Nashville, so I like to keep it on Central. But so you see the rain breaking out this evening, and this is going to be a big rain event for us here in Middle Tennessee. So, I'm in Nashville, and we're picking up, and throughout Central Tennessee, Middle Tennessee area, we're picking up 2 to 4 inches. So we're going to be watching for some localized flooding. We're also going to be watching for a little ice on the back end of this for us. But let's take a look at who sees the heavy snow first. So you can see this stretching all the way from Michigan into the Panhandle there, into the Rockies. So that's going to be the startup of this into tomorrow morning. And here is the area that we're really concerned about right here. So you get all this moisture coming in, but you also get this sort of cold air. And as that warmer air and that cold air clashes, what you see a lot of times is sleet and freezing rain. And freezing rain is what produces that ice. We don't like to see it. So if you're in that salmon area, that purple area, that's going to be where the ice is happening. And watch it stretch down into Texas. So looking like around Amarillo, you're going to see a lot of snow, but central Texas, even down into Waco, Dallas, you're looking at ice. And, Dallas ice storms, they know about some ice storms. They've had some pretty big ones in the past. So it looks like you're going to be in some ice. Hopefully it stays a little further north into Wednesday night, but you're going to see that really icy area pushing through with snow in behind it. Now, here's where things get really, really tricky. So this is stretching from central Texas up into the Ohio River Valley. And, this area, even including portions of Northwest Tennessee, up into the Paducah area, Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, these areas are really going to be socked into ice. And that's what's concerning. So this ice could even be stretching well up into the north and east. We're going to be keeping a very close eye on this, but a lot of this heavy ice is expected sort of in the Ohio River Valley, especially around the Paducah area into Southern Illinois, even down into Arkansas. So yeah, Central Texas, you're getting it as well. It'll be pushing out as you head into the end of Thursday. But this is, going for a few days. So we've kind of outrun NAM here. So we're going to switch over to Euro, and we're going to get a better view. And I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to this view here. So this is the same time. This is, noon on Thursday, and we keep going. And you can see here that ice continues into Kentucky. It's still going there in Texas and Arkansas, but it's sliding to the north and east. And this is still a few days away. So, how much ice we see here, even going into the mid-Atlantic, there's going to be some question marks, up until tomorrow and the next day, because, we're still a little far out with this part of the forecast. Either way you slice it, you certainly need to be on alert. And right now, these areas in pink here, I would say anywhere from central Texas up into the Ohio River Valley, even up into portions of the Midwest, you really need to be on high alert. So let's talk about totals. And we'll go ahead and take a look right now at snowfall totals. So this is the Euro model, and I like to show this because, this one can be, I think, a little more aggressive than some of the others, but this kind of gives you a good idea of what we're expecting. So as we go into, this time period here, this is through Thursday morning. There's Thursday midday. Looks like the heaviest snow, of course, you're going to get a lot there in the Rockies and the mountains, picking up quite a bit. Let's get a look at these snow totals. So, through areas there in Illinois, central Illinois, into Missouri, further to the north and east into, Ohio, into Indiana, you're picking up quite a bit of snow. It's going to be a lot. And then freezing rain, this is the one that's most concerning. So this is through the event. This is into Friday morning. And that darker pink, that's half an inch or more. Some spots seeing up to an inch of ice. And this stretches from Arkansas into Missouri, into western Kentucky, southern Illinois, all the way up through the Ohio River Valley. And that's a lot of ice. That is going to cause some really big issues. So those areas, if you're under the ice threat, the freezing rain threat, you need to be most concerned. And you certainly need to go ahead and make your plans to have, food, water, know what you're going to do if the power goes out, because that's going to be a real possibility. I think that area around Paducah, especially, that's the part that I'm really concerned about, this kind of just area here, right where you intersect all these different states. But yeah, it's, that's a lot of ice. Now, so that's Euro. We can switch this over actually to GFS and show you kind of the difference. GFS actually has greater ice totals, but it has a little further south and east. And I will say that Euro was kind of showing a more southeasterly ice total situation on Sunday. So, the two models are close, but they're not exact. And I think we're really going to be narrowing down this forecast. And I think GFS is pretty aggressive. Look at that dark pink there. That's an inch or more, maybe even kind of closer to that 1.5 inch category, stretching from Arkansas into West Tennessee, all through Kentucky. So that, would not be good if that pans out. But once again, at this point, even though we're really going to start to see this situation blossoming in the next 24 hours, there's still going to be some model disagreements. So let's take a look actually at something that I think is probably going to be a little bit more realistic in terms of totals. So we can look right now at the national blend of models. So let's take a look at snow totals here. And you can see there in that darker pink, I'm going to scroll down so hopefully you can see the legend. That darker pink is about 1 foot of snow. And you see that there on the Rockies, parts of Texas, Oklahoma, looking at up to 6 inches and probably more in a few spots locally. And then you really get that bullseye of snow stretching from central Missouri into central Illinois, all the way up into, Michigan, all the way up into the northeast. And at this point, too, to the far northeast, still going to be some big question marks about what exactly we're going to see. Now, let's see our surface ice accumulation. And this is going to be a little bit more realistic, I think, in terms of what we're expecting. So, and then I drug this way out. There we go. So going through the weekend, this is going to be a lot more, realistic, a lot more conservative in terms of ice, but it does keep a lot of that around the Paducah area, stretching from Arkansas up into Kentucky along the Ohio River, picking up, 1/2 inch or more of ice. That's still a ton, and that is still going to have a really big impact. So, when you look at the models, you're going to see some like GFS that, is showing really high ice totals. I like to be a little bit more conservative in my forecasting. So this is kind of what I'm expecting. And half an inch of ice is still going to have a huge impact in terms of what you're looking at. But we're, kind of just trying to give you an idea of what's going on. So that was the national blend of models. I think that's pretty realistic. We can also take a look at what the National Weather Service is saying, and they're pretty close to the blend of models, I think, kind of showing that 12 inches plus of snow, in areas like central Illinois, kind of stretching even up into upstate New York, getting quite a bit there in the Rockies, also seeing quite a bit in Texas, around Amarillo. I love saying Amarillo. I lived in Texas for a few years, love Texas. But that's kind of what we're seeing in that area. And, snow, a foot of snow is going to cause some issues. That's going to be more snow than a lot of these folks have seen in one storm in a while. But the freezing rain is the thing I'm most concerned with. And this is from the National Weather Service, and this is what they are thinking. And just kind of giving you that scale. That darker pink means you're in trouble, but it looks like they're kind of going from, central Arkansas up into the Ohio River area, looking at, half an inch or so, and even portions of North Texas there, that looks like to be around Wichita Falls, could be looking pretty icy. So that's my thoughts right now. Basically, if you are, from Paducah up into the Ohio River Valley, you need to be really watching the weather carefully. And this is a big winter storm. It affects a lot of people. And, it's a good time to really watch your local weather people, your local National Weather Service office, to kind of get a really good idea of what's going to happen in your area, because, that rain snow line, it's going to be close in some areas. Some cities, it's really going to be hard to tell. You might end up with a ton of snow, or you might end up with not much at all and some freezing rain that causes ice. And that's that clash between warm weather and that cold, cold air. So it can be really tricky to forecast. Either way, you need to take this one seriously. And I think I did a pretty good job pointing out the areas where you really need to be watching things carefully and preparing. Just remember, it's better to prepare and have it not happen than not prepare and have it happen. So, I think we're really getting into the time period now where we've got more accuracy, especially through tomorrow into Thursday morning. Ice is a big deal. I've got some concerns here in Middle Tennessee. As you can see, we're looking at least a few hundredths of an inch, and, even just a little bit of a glaze causes big issues with travel. And those are the things that I'm concerned with. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate you. I know I'm still learning how to do these YouTube videos, so hopefully I'll be able to get my setup looking a little better. I'm starting to adjust things, and hopefully you notice things looking a little bit smoother in the next few days. I'm going to do some more of these. I appreciate you watching. Please stay safe. This is a big winter storm, and tomorrow I'll pop back on here too, and we're going to talk more about what's going to happen in the Northeast, because I think by that point we're really going to start to narrow things down a little bit better. When you're looking this far out, sometimes, I think we have a pretty good idea what's happening from Texas up into the Ohio River Valley. But beyond that, still some question marks. So thanks, guys. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and I hope you enjoy Groundhog Day tomorrow. Stay safe and stay well, my friends. I hope you have a fantastic week.